the silence in this place is a living thing. It has a weight, a texture, a presence that presses in on you from all sides. It's not the peaceful, contemplative silence of a library or the hushed, reverent silence of a church. It's a hungry silence, a watchful silence, the kind that makes the small hairs on the back of your neck stand up and scream. It's 3:17 a.m., and I am alone. Or at least, I'm supposed to be. I took this job as the night watchman at Secure Space Storage because I'm a creature of the night. I've always been a bit of an insomniac, and the idea of getting paid to sit in a quiet room and read all night was immensely appealing. The money is good, better than any other part-time gig I could find, and I need every penny for tuition. My parents are helping as much as they can, but it's not enough, and I'm determined to get through college without drowning in debt. So, I trade my nights for their dollars, a simple, straightforward transaction. The facility is a sprawling, single-story labyrinth of corrugated steel and concrete. Hundreds of identical roll-up doors line the long, cavernous hallways, each one a blank, anonymous face in the crowd. The air is always cold, a damp, metallic chill that seeps into your bones and never quite leaves. The only sounds are the low, electric hum of the fluorescent lights overhead casting a sterile, greenish glow on everything, and the soft scuff of my own shoes on the polished concrete floor. Tonight, however, the silence feels different. It's heavier, more oppressive. The usual low-level unease that comes with being the only living soul in a place like this has been replaced by a gnawing, persistent dread. It's a feeling I can't quite put my finger on, a primal instinct that tells me I'm not as alone as I think I am. I try to shake it off, to rationalize it away. It's the caffeine wearing off, the late hour, the natural creaks and groans of a large, empty building. But the feeling persists, a cold knot in the pit of my stomach. I do my rounds, my footsteps echoing unnervingly in the vast, empty spaces. I check each lock, run my hand along the cold, smooth metal of each door. Everything is as it should be, secure and silent. But with each step I take, the feeling of being watched grows stronger. It's as if there are eyes on me from the shadows, from the dark, empty spaces between the rows of storage units. I find myself looking over my shoulder, my heart pounding a little faster than it should. Back in the small, cramped office, I sink into the worn-out chair, the springs groaning in protest. The bank of CCTV monitors on the desk shows a dozen different angles of the facility, a dozen different views of the same sterile, silent emptiness. I stare at them, my eyes glazing over, the grainy, black-and-white images blurring into a meaningless collage of gray. And then I see it, a flicker of movement on one of the screens. In the feed for Hallway C, a shadow detaches itself from the others. It's tall and thin, a distortion in the pixels that looks almost human. It's there for a heartbeat, a fleeting dark shape in a hallway that should be, and must be, completely empty. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it's gone. I lean forward, my heart suddenly pounding against my ribs. I grab the mouse and rewind the footage for Hallway C, my eyes glued to the screen. I play it back, frame by frame. Nothing. The hallway is empty. The shadows are still. There's no figure, no flicker of movement, nothing out of the ordinary. I play it again, and then a third time. Still nothing. It must have been a trick of the light, a technical glitch in the old, outdated system. A power surge, maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired, my mind playing tricks on me. I get up and pour myself a fresh cup of coffee, the bitter aroma doing little to soothe my frayed nerves. I decide to do another patrol, to walk the halls and prove to myself that there's nothing there. The facility is a maze of identical corridors, a labyrinth of cold concrete and steel. The silence is even more profound now, broken only by the soft scuff of my own shoes. Each metallic door seems like a tombstone, each lock a seal on a forgotten secret. I run my hand along the cold corrugated metal of one of the doors, the touch sending a shiver down my spine. I tell myself again that I'm alone, that it's just my imagination running wild in the dead of night. I complete my round, checking every lock, every corner. Everything is secure, just as it should be. But as I head back to the office, I notice something that makes the hair on my arm stand on end. At the far end of Hallway B, a single storage unit door is slightly ajar. Unit 13B. I know with absolute certainty that it was securely locked just an hour ago. I checked it myself. My breath catches in my throat. I slowly approach the unit, my hand hovering over the pepper spray on my belt. The door is open, just a crack, a sliver of darkness in the otherwise uniform wall of metal. I push it open, the hinges creaking in the silence. The unit is empty, a small concrete box filled with dust and shadows. Nothing seems out of place, nothing is missing. I check the lock, it's not broken, just unlocked. I swing the heavy door shut, the sound of the latch clicking into place echoing like a gunshot in the stillness. Back in the office, the feeling of being watched is no longer a subtle unease. It's a palpable presence. I can feel eyes on me, a cold, unseen gaze that prickles my skin. I try to focus on my textbook, but the words blur together, my mind replaying the image of the open door. I glance at the CCTV monitors, my heart hammering in my chest, and then I see it again. This time, it's in hallway D, at the far end, standing motionless. It's clearer now, not just a flicker, but a solid silhouette. Tall, gaunt, and unnaturally still. It's just standing there, watching the camera. It stays there for a full 10 seconds, an eternity in the silent, sterile world of the storage facility. Then the screen flickers, a burst of static, and the figure is gone. It didn't walk away, it didn't fade, it just vanished, as if the feed itself had been corrupted. A cold dread washes over me. This is not a trick of the light. This is not a glitch. Something is in here with me. I spend the rest of the night in a state of heightened alert, my eyes darting between the monitors and the door to the office. Every creak and groan of the building is a potential threat, every shadow a potential monster. I don't leave the office again until the first rays of dawn begin to pierce the darkness. The next morning, I'm a wreck. I haven't slept a wink, my mind a carousel of terrifying images and unanswered questions. When Frank, the daytime guard, arrives to relieve me, I can barely look him in the eye. He's a grizzled old-timer, with a kind, weathered face and a smile that usually puts me at ease. But today, his cheerful greeting grates on my raw nerves. I try to sound casual, to feign a nonchalant curiosity, but my voice comes out hoarse and trembling. "Hey, Frank," I say, my words tumbling out in a rush. "You ever notice any weird glitches with the CCTV at night, things that aren't there?" Frank's smile falters for a fraction of a second, a barely perceptible flicker in his eyes. He stops what he's doing and turns to face me, his expression unreadable. "What kind of things?" he asks, his voice low and even. I describe the shadowy figure, the way it appears and disappears, the impossible stillness of it. I tell him about the open door of Unit 13B, the feeling of being watched. As I speak, a strange look passes over Frank's face, a mixture of something I can't quite decipher. Fear? Pity? Recognition? He forces a chuckle, but it sounds hollow, a brittle, cracking sound in the quiet office. "Ah, you're just getting used to the night shift, kid," he says, clapping me on the shoulder with a hand that feels heavy and cold. "This old place plays tricks on you. It's the night folk, we call 'em." He winks, but there's no humor in it, just a deep, weary sadness. "Just a bit of advice," he adds, his voice dropping to a near whisper, his eyes darting around the room as if he's afraid of being overheard. "If you see something you didn't, never look for them and never let them know you see them." He dismisses it as a joke, a bit of harmless hazing for the new guy, but his eyes betray a genuine, deep-seated fear. He knows something, he's seen it too, and his words, meant to be a comfort, only serve to amplify my own growing terror. He sees the look on my face, the wide-eyed terror that I can't hide, and he sighs, a long, weary sound. "Look, kid," he says, his voice softening, "I'm not supposed to talk about this. Management gets weird about it, but I don't want to see you end up like the last guy." He tells me about the night guard before me, a young man named Kevin. He was a student, just like me, trying to make some extra money. He lasted a week. He quit without notice, just walked out in the middle of his shift, leaving behind a half-eaten sandwich and a full cup of coffee. He never came back for his last paycheck. And the guy before Kevin, a man named Bill, he wasn't so lucky. He had a complete mental breakdown. He started talking about shadows that moved on their own, about whispers and the static, about a tall, thin man with no face who would watch him from the end of the hallways. He's in a psychiatric hospital now, heavily medicated, still muttering about the things he saw in this place. Frank tells me he's seen things too over the years. Fleeting movements in the corner of his eye, doors that open and close on their own, whispers that seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. He's learned to ignore it, to turn a blind eye. He does his job, he keeps his head down, and he gets out as soon as his shift is over. He tells me that the facility was built on an old potter's field, an unmarked, forgotten graveyard for the poor, the nameless, the forgotten. He says that some people believe that the spirits of those buried here are still around, that they're drawn to the loneliness and the isolation of this place. They feed on it. They feed on the fear. His words are a confirmation of my own terrifying experiences, a validation of my growing paranoia. I'm not going crazy. This is real, and I'm not the only one who has seen it. That night, the facility is a tomb. The air is thick with a suffocating dread, a palpable sense of malevolence that clings to me like a shroud. Frank's words echo in my mind, a mantra of denial that I repeat to myself over and over again. If you see something, you didn't. Never look for them, and never let them know you see them. I try to follow his advice. I keep my eyes glued to my textbook, the words a meaningless jumble of black and white. I ignore the bank of monitors that seem to stare back at me like a dozen dead eyes, a dozen windows into a world I'm not supposed to see. But it's impossible. Every creak of the building, every hum of the ancient wiring, every distant, unidentifiable sound sends a jolt of fear through me. I'm a coiled spring, ready to snap at the slightest provocation. Then, a loud bang from the back of the facility makes me jump out of my skin. It sounds like a heavy metal door slamming shut, the sound echoing through the long, empty hallways like a gunshot. My heart leaps into my throat, a frantic, fluttering bird in my chest. I force myself to look at the monitors, my hands trembling so hard I can barely control the mouse. I scan the feeds one by one, my eyes darting from screen to screen, searching for the source of the sound. And then I see it. In hallway C, the same hallway where I first saw the figure, a single word is scrawled in the thick layer of dust on the concrete floor. It's written in large, crude letters, the lines sharp and clear against the gray backdrop. Hello. A cold wave of nausea washes over me. It's a message, a greeting from the unseen. Who wrote it? How did they get in without triggering any alarms? And how did they know I was watching? I grab my heavy-duty flashlight, my knuckles white as I grip the cold, hard plastic. I have to see it for myself, to confirm that it's real, that I'm not just hallucinating. My footsteps echo loudly as I walk down the long, silent corridor towards hallway C. The air grows colder with each step, the silence more oppressive, more profound. I round the corner, and there it is, the word hello, scrawled in the dust, just as it was on the monitor. The letters are sharp, fresh. I run my finger over the edge of the H. The dust is loose, recently disturbed. I check the access logs on my phone, my fingers fumbling with the screen. No unauthorized entries. No one has been in this section of the facility for at least 12 hours, except for me. A chilling realization dawns on me, a cold, hard knot of fear in the pit of my stomach. Whatever wrote this message is not on any access log. It doesn't need a key. It doesn't need a code. It's already here. I slowly back away, my eyes scanning the shadows, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I retreat to the relative safety of the office, my mind racing, a whirlwind of fear and confusion. I stare at the monitors, a new kind of fear taking hold, a fear that is colder and sharper than anything I've ever felt before. This isn't just a presence, it's an intelligence. It's aware of me. It's communicating with me. As if to confirm my thoughts, a new message appears on a different monitor, this one showing the hallway just outside the office door. Scrawled on the wall in the same dusty script is a new message, two simple words that make my blood run cold and my world tilt on its axis, ISEU. The messages become a nightly ritual, a one-sided conversation with my unseen tormentor. They appear in the dust, on the walls, on the fogged-up glass of the office window. Cold night is scrawled on the floor of an empty unit. Tyred materializes on a dusty countertop. Elon is written in the condensation on a window pane, the letters slowly dripping down the glass like tears. They are always in places I've just patrolled, places that should be empty, and with the messages come the whispers. At first they are faint, buried in the static of the old intercom system, a barely audible murmur that I dismiss as my imagination, my mind filling in the blanks in the white noise. But they grow louder, more distinct with each passing night. Indistinct murmurs become hushed words, the tone always menacing, always just on the edge of comprehension. I feel like I'm losing my mind, the line between reality and paranoia blurring with each passing night. I start talking to myself, my own voice a comforting presence in the oppressive silence. I leave the radio on, the cheerful, mindless chatter, the late-night DJ, a flimsy shield against the encroaching darkness. But the whispers always find a way to cut through, to slither into my ears and poison my thoughts. I need answers. I need to know what's happening in this place, what's happening to me. Driven by a mix of fear and a morbid curiosity I can't explain, I decide to investigate the history of the facility. I start with Unit 13B, the one I found open on that first night, the one that seems to be at the center of it all. I pull up the rental records on the office computer, my fingers flying across the keyboard, my heart pounding in my chest. The unit was rented to a man named Robert Maxwell. He rented it 10 years ago, and according to the records, he died a week after he rented it. The official report is attached to his file. I click on it, my stomach churning, a cold, sick feeling spreading through me. The cause of death, suicide. He was found inside Unit 13B, hanging from a pipe in the ceiling. The report mentions that in the days leading up to his death, he had been complaining to friends and family about being watched, about feeling a constant, unseen presence. He was suffering from extreme paranoia, the same paranoia that is now gnawing at the edges of my own sanity. I read the report over and over again, the words blurring together, the screen a harsh, unforgiving light in the darkness of the office. I feel a strange kinship with this man, this ghost from the past. I understand his fear, his paranoia, living it. The entity on the CCTV is getting bolder. It no longer just stands still, it moves. I watch, paralyzed with a fear so profound it feels like my heart has stopped as the shadowy figure slowly walks down a hallway. It moves with a strange, disjointed gait, its long limbs seeming to bend at impossible angles. It stops directly in front of the camera, its form a black hole in the grainy image, a void that seems to absorb the light around it. It seems to look directly at me, through the lens, through the screen, into the very core of my being. Then it turns, and for a split second, I see its face reflected in the polished metal of a nearby door. It's a distorted, featureless mask, a smooth, pale oval with no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just a blank, terrifying emptiness. The image is burned into my mind, a brand of pure horror that will haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. I stumble back from the desk, gasping for air, my hands shaking uncontrollably. What is this thing? What does it want from me? I feel a scream building in my chest, a raw, primal sound of pure terror, but I choke it down, my throat tight with fear. I can't scream. I can't make a sound. I can't let it know I see it. I can't do this alone anymore. The image of that featureless face, reflected in the polished metal, is burned into my mind, a brand of pure horror that will haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. The whispers and the static, the messages scrawled in the dust, the feeling of being watched. It's all too much. I need help. I need answers. The next day, I confront Frank again. This time, I don't try to be casual. I corner him in the break room, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and desperation. My hands are shaking, my eyes wide and bloodshot from lack of sleep. I haven't eaten in what feels like days, and the coffee I've been chugging down only makes my stomach churn. Frank, you have to tell me what's going on in this place, I plead, my voice a raw, desperate whisper. I'm seeing it every night. It's not a glitch. It's real. I saw its face, Frank. It has no face. Frank looks at me, and for the first time, the jovial mask slips completely. The easy smile, the comforting demeanor, they vanish, replaced by an expression of deep concern, almost pity. He sees the genuine abject terror in my eyes, and something in him breaks. He sighs, a long, weary sound that seems to carry the weight of years of unspoken burdens, and slumps into a chair, running a hand through his thinning hair. I was hoping you wouldn't see it, kid, he says, his voice heavy with resignation, his gaze fixed on some distant point beyond the break room window. I was hoping you'd just do your shift and get out like the rest of us. Like Kevin. He tells me about Kevin, the night guard before me. A young man, just like me, trying to make some extra money for college. Kevin lasted a week. He quit without notice, just walked out in the middle of his shift, leaving behind a half-eaten sandwich and a full cup of coffee. He never came back for his last paycheck. Frank says he heard Kevin moved out of state, changed his name, and never looked back. He was one of the lucky ones. And the guy before Kevin, a man named Bill, he wasn't so lucky. Bill had been working the graveyard shift for years, a quiet, unassuming man who kept to himself. But then he started seeing things. At first, it was just shadows, fleeting glimpses in the corner of his eye. Then it was whispers, faint and indistinct, but always there, just at the edge of hearing. And then, one night, he saw it. The same thing I saw. The tall, thin man with no face. Bill had a complete mental breakdown. He started talking about shadows that moved on their own, about whispers in the static, about a tall, thin man with no face who would watch him from the end of the hallways. He's in a psychiatric hospital now, heavily medicated, still muttering about the things he saw in this place. Frank says he visits him sometimes, and Bill just stares at the wall, his eyes wide and vacant, whispering about the man with no face. Frank tells me he's seen things too over the years, fleeting movements in the corner of his eye, doors that open and close on their own, whispers that seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. He's learned to ignore it, to turn a blind eye. He does his job, he keeps his head down, and he gets out as soon as his shift is over. He tells me that the facility was built on an old potter's field, an unmarked, forgotten graveyard for the poor, the nameless, the forgotten. He says that some people believe that the spirits of those buried here are still around, that they're drawn to the loneliness and the isolation of this place. They feed on it. They feed on the fear. His words are a confirmation of my own terrifying experiences, a validation of my growing paranoia. I'm not going crazy. This is real. And I'm not the only one who has seen it. The knowledge is a cold comfort, a small flicker of light in the vast, empty darkness of my fear. But it also brings a new, more profound dread. If this thing is real, if it's been here all along, what does it want? And why is it showing itself to me now? The knowledge of the unmarked graves is a poison that seeps into every corner of my life. It's not just a historical fact, it's a living, breathing entity that has taken root in my mind, twisting my thoughts, poisoning my dreams. Sleep, once a welcome escape, has become a terrifying ordeal. When I do manage to drift off, my dreams are filled with nightmares of shadowy figures with featureless faces, their forms shifting and swirling in the darkness, their whispers a constant, insidious chorus that calls my name from the depths of my subconscious. They mock me, they taunt me, they whisper my deepest fears in the dead of night. They're all going to leave you, Alex, the whispers hiss. Their voice is a chorus of dry, rustling leaves. You're going to end up alone, just like the rest of us. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding, my body trembling. The fear is a physical presence, a suffocating weight that presses down on me, making it impossible to breathe. I'm exhausted, a walking ghost, my eyes red-rimmed and raw from lack of sleep. My grades are slipping, my once impeccable attendance record now marred by missed classes and late assignments. My friends, once a constant source of comfort and laughter, are growing more and more concerned. They see the dark circles under my eyes, the way I jump at every unexpected sound, the paranoia that clings to me like a shroud. They ask if I'm okay, if something's wrong, but I can't tell them. How do you explain to your friends that you're being haunted by a faceless entity that communicates through CCTV monitors and whispers in the static? They wouldn't understand. They would think I'm crazy. The entity's messages have become more specific, more personal, a chilling reminder that it knows things about my life outside of this place, things that no one at the facility could possibly know. Saw you in the library. Today appears on a wall in hallway A hallway I had just patrolled. Like your new haircut is scrawled in the dust on a storage unit door in hallway B, a door I had just checked. It knows where I go, what I do, what I look like. The horror is no longer contained within these walls. It's following me, watching me, a constant, unseen observer in my life. I start to see it in the reflections of shop windows, in the dark corners of my apartment, a fleeting shadow that is always just at the edge of my vision. I'm not safe anywhere. My apartment, once a sanctuary, has become another cage, another prison. I check the locks repeatedly, double-checking the windows, convinced that it will find a way in. I sleep with the lights on, the television blaring, anything to drown out the whispers, to banish the shadows. But it's no use. The whispers always find a way to cut through, to slither into my ears and poison my thoughts. The shadows always find a way to creep in, to twist and distort the familiar shapes of my furniture into menacing figures. I'm starting to lose my grip on reality. The line between what's real and what's not is blurring, the two realities merging into a single waking nightmare. I question everything. Is that a shadow or is it idiot? Is that the wind or is it idiot whisper? Am I going crazy or is this place, this entity driving me to the brink of insanity? The thought terrifies me more than anything else. The idea of losing my mind, of being trapped in a world of my own making, is a fate worse than death. I try to fight it, to cling to the last vestiges of my sanity, but it's a losing battle. The entity is relentless, a constant, insidious presence that is slowly eroding my mind, piece by agonizing piece. I'm afraid to sleep, afraid of the nightmares that await me. I'm afraid to be awake, afraid of the things I see and hear. I'm trapped in a waking nightmare, a prisoner in my own mind, and I don't know how much longer I can take it. The isolation is crushing. I can't talk to anyone about this. My friends would think I'm insane. My parents would worry themselves sick. I'm alone in this, completely and utterly alone, and the entity knows it. It feeds on my loneliness, on my fear, on my despair. It grows stronger with each passing night, while I grow weaker. The line between the facility and the outside world has completely dissolved. The entity is no longer confined to the grainy black and white feeds of the CCTV monitors. It has breached the digital barrier and seeped into every aspect of my life. I start seeing it out of the corner of my eye during my patrols, a flicker of movement in the periphery, a shadow in a doorway that's too tall, too thin, too fast. It's always just out of reach, always just beyond the edge of my direct vision, a phantom limb of my own growing paranoia. But I know it's there. I feel its presence, a cold, oppressive weight that settles on my shoulders and never quite leaves. The whispers from the intercom are no longer buried in static. They are clear now, chillingly distinct, a chorus of sibilant voices that seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. They sometimes say my name, a cold, sibilant hiss that makes my blood run cold. Alex, it whispers, the sound seeming to echo in the vast, empty spaces of the facility, a haunting melody that plays on the loop in my mind. We know you can hear us, Alex. We know you're listening. The words are a constant reminder that I am not alone, that I am being watched, that my every move is being scrutinized. The facility, which once felt like a place of quiet solitude, has become a prison, a cage in which I am the only inmate, and the warden is a ghost, a shadow, a thing that should not be. I'm starting to lose track of time, the days and nights bleeding into one another in a haze of fear and exhaustion. My sleep is a fractured landscape of nightmares. My waking hour is a constant battle against the encroaching paranoia. I'm not sure what's real anymore. Am I going crazy? Or is this place, this entity, driving me to the brink of insanity? The thought terrifies me more than anything else. The idea of losing my mind, of being trapped in a world of my own making, is a fate worse than death. I try to fight it, to cling to the last vestiges of my sanity, but it's a losing battle. The entity is relentless, a constant, insidious presence that is slowly eroding my mind, piece by agonizing piece. The physical manifestations of its presence are becoming more frequent, more audacious. Objects move on their own, doors open and close with a soft click, lights flicker and die. I find myself jumping at every sound, every shadow, my nerves frayed and raw. I'm constantly on edge, my body a coiled spring, ready to snap at the slightest provocation. I've stopped eating, the thought of food making my stomach churn. My clothes hang loosely on my frame, my skin pale and drawn. I'm a ghost of my former self, a shadow of the person I once was. The isolation is crushing. I can't talk to anyone about this. My friends would think I'm insane. My parents would worry themselves sick. I'm alone in this, completely and utterly alone. And the entity knows it. It feeds on my loneliness, on my fear, on my despair. It grows stronger with each passing night, while I grow weaker. It's a parasitic relationship, a slow, agonizing drain on my life force. I've started carrying a small, worn-out teddy bear with me, a relic from my childhood that I found tucked away in a dusty box in my apartment. It's a small comfort, a tangible link to a time when the world made sense, when shadows were just shadows and whispers were just the wind. But even the bear offers little solace. I can feel its button eyes staring up at me, a silent witness to my descent into madness. I wonder if it sees what I see, if it hears what I hear. The entity is no longer content to simply observe. It's actively engaging with me, playing a twisted game of cat and mouse. It leaves messages for me, not just on the dusty floors and walls of the facility, but in my apartment, in my car, in my dreams. "You're next," is scrawled on my bathroom mirror in condensation. "We're waiting," appears on my car windshield, etched in the morning dew. It's everywhere. There's no escape. One night, during a patrol of the East Wing, the air in the long, silent corridor felt particularly heavy, thick with the oppressive presence that had become my constant companion. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, illuminating rows of identical metal doors, each one a potential hiding place for the unseen. My nerves were stretched taut, a single, vibrating string ready to snap at the slightest provocation. Every creak of the building, every distant hum of the ventilation system sent a jolt of fear through me. I was a walking bundle of raw nerves, my body constantly on high alert, my mind a chaotic maelstrom of fear and paranoia. Then, in the middle of the hallway, something broke the monotonous uniformity of the concrete floor. It was small, dark, and utterly out of place. My flashlight beam settled on it, and my breath hitched in my throat. My heart stopped. It was a teddy bear. A small, worn-out teddy bear, its button eyes staring up at me with a blank, lifeless gaze. Its fur was matted and faded, a testament to years of love and neglect. One of its button eyes was loose, hanging precariously by a single thread. It was identical to a teddy bear I had as a child, a beloved companion that I had named Barnaby. I had lost him years ago during a family trip to a remote cabin in the woods, a memory I had long suppressed, a wound I had thought long healed. My hand trembled as I reached down and picked it up. The fur felt soft and familiar against my fingertips, a tangible link to a time when the world made sense, when shadows were just shadows and whispers were just the wind. But even as I held it, a cold dread washed over me. This was not possible. Barnaby was lost. He was gone. How could he be here, in this desolate, haunted place? The sight of it triggered a memory I had long suppressed, a memory I had buried deep in the recesses of my mind. It was a traumatic childhood event, a night that had haunted my dreams for years. I was no older than 7, lost in the woods at night. The sun having set, leaving me in a world of monstrous shadows and terrifying sounds. I was alone, and I was terrified. I could feel a presence watching me from the trees, a silent, unseen observer. I never saw anything, but I knew with the certainty of a child that I was not alone. The same feeling of being watched, of a silent, malevolent presence, is what I feel every night at the storage facility. It's the same entity. It's been with me all along. The teddy bear is a key unlocking a door I had sealed shut years ago. The memory floods back, as vivid and terrifying as the day it happened. I'm a child, no older than 7, lost in the woods at night. The sun is set, and the trees have become monstrous shapes in the darkness. I'm alone, and I'm terrified. I can feel a presence watching me from the trees, a silent, unseen observer. I never saw anything, but I knew with the certainty of a child that I was not alone. The same feeling of being watched, of a silent, malevolent presence, is what I feel every night at the storage facility. It's the same entity. It's been with me all along. The memory is so powerful, so real, that I drop the bear and stumble back, my heart pounding in my chest. I feel a wave of dizziness wash over me, and I have to lean against the wall to keep from falling. It's all connected. The woods, the facility, the entity. It's all been leading to this. The teddy bear, my lost childhood companion, is not just a personal item. It's a message, a taunt, a chilling reminder that this entity knows me, knows my past, knows my deepest fears. It's playing a game with me, a cruel and twisted game, and I am its unwitting pawn. The teddy bear, Barnaby, lies on the cold concrete floor where I dropped him, his button eyes staring up at me with a blank, lifeless gaze. But to me, they are filled with a chilling accusation, a silent reminder of a past I had desperately tried to forget. He is a key, unlocking a door I had sealed shut years ago, a door behind which lay a memory so vivid, so terrifying, that it had haunted my dreams for years. The memory floods back, a torrent of images and sensations that threaten to overwhelm me. I'm a child, no older than 7, lost in the woods at night. The sun is set, and the familiar trees of the forest have transformed into monstrous, grasping shapes in the encroaching darkness. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig is amplified, distorted, becoming the sound of something lurking just beyond my sight. I'm alone, and I'm terrified. The air is cold, damp, and carries the scent of pine and damp earth. I can feel a presence watching me from the trees, a silent, unseen observer. It's not a deer or a fox or any other animal of the forest. It's something else, something ancient and malevolent, something that fills me with a primal fear that I have never forgotten. I never saw anything, but I knew with the certainty of a child that I was not alone. The same feeling of being watched, of a silent, malevolent presence, is what I feel every night at the storage facility. It's the same entity. It's been with me all along. The memory is so powerful, so real, that I drop to my knees, my body trembling uncontrollably. I feel a wave of dizziness wash over me, and I have to lean against the cold, hard wall to keep from falling. It's all connected. The woods, the facility, the entity. It's all been leading to this. The teddy bear, my lost childhood companion, is not just a personal item. It's a message, a taunt, a chilling reminder that this entity knows me, knows my past, knows my deepest fears. It's playing a game with me, a cruel and twisted game, and I am its unwitting pawn. I remember the desperate cries from my parents, my small voice swallowed by the vast, indifferent forest. I remember the cold, creeping dread that settled in my bones, the feeling of being utterly alone and utterly helpless. And I remember the eyes. I never saw them, not truly, but I felt them. A cold, unblinking gaze that pierced through the darkness and settled on me. They were not the eyes of an animal or a human. They were something else, something ancient and hungry. The memory of that night has been a constant companion throughout my life, a shadow lurking in the periphery of my consciousness. I've tried to rationalize it away, to dismiss it as a child's overactive imagination, a product of fear and loneliness. But deep down, I always knew. I always knew that what I felt that night was real. And now here, in this desolate storage facility, that truth has been laid bare. The entity that haunts this place is the same entity that haunted me as a child. It has followed me, patiently waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, to resume its twisted game. And now it has found me. It has found its prey. The realization is a cold, hard knot in the pit of my stomach, a truth that is both terrifying and strangely liberating. I am not crazy. I am not alone. But I am in grave danger. The entity's actions now seem less like random occurrences and more like a twisted, cruel game. It's not just haunting me, it's actively engaging with me, playing a psychological cat-and-mouse game designed to break my spirit, to erode my sanity, to feed on my fear. It moves objects in my path, opens and closes doors just ahead of me, and leaves messages that are increasingly taunting, increasingly personal, seems to be feeding on my fear, growing stronger and more audacious with each passing night. I find my flashlight beam dancing across the dusty floor of hallway A, and there, scrawled in the fine layer of grime, is a new message. Lost something, Alex? The words are a direct jab, a cruel reminder of Barnaby, the teddy bear that now sits on my desk in the office, a silent, accusing witness to my torment. It knows about Barnaby. It knows about my past. It knows about my deepest fears. A cold dread washes over me, a wave of pure, unadulterated terror that leaves me breathless. This is not just a haunting, it's a conscious, intelligent, and malevolent force. It's a predator, and I am its prey. It doesn't want to just scare me, it wants something more. But what? What does it want from me? I feel a sense of hopelessness wash over me. How can I fight something that I can't see, something that knows my deepest fears, something that has been with me my entire life? The game escalates. I find my car keys missing from my pocket, only to discover them hanging from a pipe in the ceiling of Unit 13B, the very unit where Robert Maxwell met his end. A chill runs down my spine. Is this a warning? A threat? Or is it simply a demonstration of its power, a way to show me that it can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants? I start to question everything. Is that a shadow, or is it idic? Is that the wind, or is it idic's whisper? Am I going crazy, or is this place, this entity, driving me to the brink of insanity? The thought terrifies me more than anything else. The idea of losing my mind, of being trapped in a world of my own making, is a fate worse than death. I try to fight it, to cling to the last vestiges of my sanity, but it's a losing battle. The entity is relentless, a constant, insidious presence that is slowly eroding my mind, piece by agonizing piece. The whispers are no longer just in the static, they are in my head, a constant, insidious presence that I can't escape. They are with me when I'm at home, when I'm in class, when I'm with my friends. They are a constant reminder that I am not alone, that I am being watched, that my every move is being scrutinized. "You're next, Alex," they hiss, their voices a chorus of dry, rustling leaves. We're waiting. I'm afraid to sleep, afraid of the nightmares that await me. I'm afraid to be awake, afraid of the things I see and hear. I'm trapped in a waking nightmare, a prisoner in my own mind, and I don't know how much longer I can take it. The isolation is crushing. I can't talk to anyone about this. My friends would think I'm insane. My parents would worry themselves sick. I'm alone in this, completely and utterly alone, and the entity knows it. It feeds on my loneliness, on my fear, on my despair. It grows stronger with each passing night, while I grow weaker. It's a parasitic relationship, a slow, agonizing drain on my life force. I find myself pacing the office, a caged animal, my mind racing, trying to find a way out, a way to fight back. But how do you fight something that is not physical, something that exists only in the shadows, in the static, in the darkest corners of your mind? It's a game I can't win, a battle I'm destined to lose, and the entity knows it. It revels in my fear, in my despair, in my growing madness. It's a cruel, twisted game, and I am its unwitting pawn. I can't take it anymore. The fear, the sleepless nights, the constant gnawing paranoia, it's breaking me. My body is a trembling mess, my mind a chaotic maelstrom of terror and exhaustion. But as I stand in the sterile, fluorescent-lit hallway, a new feeling begins to bubble up through the fear, anger. A cold, hard, righteous anger that burns away the last vestiges of my fear. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of being hunted. I'm tired of being a pawn in this twisted game. I decide to fight back. Armed with my heavy-duty flashlight, its beam a defiant spear of light in the oppressive gloom, and a new, desperate resolve, I march toward Unit 13B. This is where it all began, the source of the initial disturbance, the heart of the haunting, the place where Robert Maxwell met his end. As I approach the unit, the air grows heavy, thick with a palpable sense of dread, a cold, suffocating presence that presses in on me from all sides. The hum of the fluorescent light seems to dim, the shadows deepen, and the silence becomes absolute, broken only by the frantic pounding of my own heart. The door to Unit 13B is closed, but I can feel the entity's presence on the other side waiting for me. It's a tangible force, a cold, malevolent energy that radiates from within the unit, a silent challenge. I take a deep breath, the cold metallic air filling my lungs, and slide the heavy metal door open. The hinges creak in protest, the sound echoing through the silent facility like a scream. The unit is dark, a black void that seems to swallow the beam of my flashlight. But I know it's not empty, it's waiting. I step inside, my hand gripping the flashlight so tightly my knuckles are white. The air inside is even colder, a damp, stagnant chill that seeps into my bones. The smell of dust and decay is overwhelming, a sickly sweet odor that makes my stomach churn. And then I see it. It's not on a screen, not a reflection in a polished surface. It's in the room with me. It manifests as a towering, distorted shadow that seems to absorb the light, a vortex of darkness in the center of the small concrete room. It's taller than any human, its limbs impossibly long and thin, its form a shifting, swirling mass of blackness. It has no discernible features, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just a blank, terrifying emptiness. The whispers are no longer whispers. They are a clear, chilling voice that speaks not to my ears, but directly into my mind. "You saw me then," it says, the voice, a chorus of 1,000 lost souls, a symphony of despair and torment. "You see me now." The connection is confirmed. The entity from my childhood, the shadow from the woods, is the same entity that haunts this place. It has followed me, patiently waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, to resume its twisted game. And now it has found me. It has found its prey. I stand my ground, my body trembling, but my resolve unwavering. I will not be another one of its victims. I will not be another forgotten soul. I raise my flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness, a defiant spear of light against the encroaching shadows. I may be afraid, but I am not broken. And I will fight. The entity shifts, its form rippling like smoke, and for a moment I see flashes of other faces within its swirling darkness. Faces contorted in fear, in despair, in agony. The faces of those who came before me, those who succumbed to its torment. Robert Maxwell, Bill, Kevin. Their silent screams echo in my mind, a chilling warning. But I will not join them. I take a step forward, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. "What do you want?" I demand, my voice raw and trembling, but filled with a newfound strength. "What do you want from me?" The entity expands, its shadow filling the small unit, pressing in on me from all sides. The cold intensifies, a biting chill that seeps into my bones. The whispers grow louder, a cacophony of tormented voices that threaten to shatter my sanity. But I stand firm, my gaze fixed on the swirling darkness before me. I will not break. I will not yield. The entity doesn't need words to tell me its story. It doesn't need to whisper or scrawl messages in the dust. It shows me. Visions flood my mind, a torrent of images and emotions that are not my own, yet I experience them as if they were. I see the history of this land, a tapestry woven with threads of despair and forgotten lives. I see the old potter's field, the desolate stretch of land where the poor, the nameless, the forgotten, were buried without ceremony, without a headstone, without a prayer. Their bodies were simply cast into the earth, their souls left to wander, tethered to this desolate patch of ground. I see the construction of the storage facility, a monument of cold steel and concrete built directly over their final resting place. The heavy machinery, the pounding of hammers, the shouts of the workers, all oblivious to the silent screams rising from the disturbed earth beneath their feet. The entity is a composite being, a collector of lonely souls, an amalgamation of all the forgotten spirits of this place. It's drawn to the isolation of the facility, to the despair of those who store their forgotten lives within its walls, and it was drawn to me, to my own deep-seated loneliness and the trauma of that night in the woods. It doesn't want to kill me. It wants to add me to its collection. It wants to make me one of its own, another forgotten soul to join its chorus of torment. The visions are overwhelming, a torrent of pain and suffering that threatens to drown me. I see flashes of their lives, their deaths, their lonely forgotten burials. I feel their despair, their anger, their unending sadness. I see a young woman, her face etched with hunger, dying alone in the cold. I see an old man, his eyes filled with regret, taking his last breath in a forgotten alley. I see a child, lost and afraid, crying for a mother who will never come. Their stories, their pain, their forgotten lives all flow into me, becoming a part of me. And I understand. I understand what this thing is, what it wants. It is the embodiment of forgotten despair, a hungry void that feeds on loneliness and fear, and it wants me to join its ranks. The realization is a jolt of pure terror that breaks the paralysis that has held me in its grip. I am not just fighting for my life. I am fighting for my soul. I am fighting to remain myself, to not become another faceless echo in its endless chorus of torment. I will not be another one of its victims. I will not be another forgotten soul. I will not join them. The entity expands, its shadow filling the small unit, pressing in on me from all sides. The cold intensifies, a biting chill that seeps into my bones, a cold that feels like the grave itself. The whispers grow louder, a cacophony of tormented voices that threaten to shatter my sanity, to break my will. But I stand firm, my gaze fixed on the swirling darkness before me. I will not break, I will not yield, I will not become one of them. I will not be forgotten. I feel a surge of defiance, a desperate primal need to survive, to resist. I may be afraid, but I am not broken, and I will fight. I will fight for my life, for my sanity, for my soul. I will not let this thing consume me. I will not let it win. The air crackles with an unseen energy, the hum of the fluorescent lights growing louder, more intense, as if the very building is reacting to the struggle within. The metal walls of the unit seem to groan, to warp, as if struggling to contain the immense power of the entity. I am trapped, but I am not defeated. Not yet. I turn and run. My legs, which moments ago felt like lead, now propel me forward with a desperate primal energy. I flee from the unit, a heart-pounding chase through the labyrinthine corridors of the storage facility. The entity is everywhere. It's on the monitors, its featureless face staring out from every screen, its empty eyes following my every move. It's in the reflections, a fleeting shadow in every polished surface, a distorted, elongated figure that mirrors my frantic flight. It's a whisper in my ear, a cold touch on my neck, a chilling breath that raises goosebumps on my skin. It's a psychological assault, a relentless attack on my sanity, a barrage of fear and despair that threatens to shatter my mind. I don't know where I'm going, only that I have to get away. I weave through the endless rows of storage units, my flashlight beam dancing wildly, illuminating fleeting glimpses of metal doors and dusty floors. Every turn is a gamble, every hallway a potential trap. The whispers grow louder, a cacophony of tormented voices that echo in my head, mocking my futile attempts to escape. "You can't run, Alex," they hiss. "We're everywhere. We're waiting." My lungs burn, my legs ache, but I push myself harder, fueled by a desperate, primal need to survive. I can hear its presence behind me, a cold, oppressive weight that presses in on me, a silent, unseen predator that is slowly, inexorably gaining on me. I can feel its breath on my neck, a chilling caress that makes my skin crawl. I can hear the faint, dry rustle of its movement, a sound that is both terrifying and strangely alluring. I finally make it to the office, my body trembling, my mind a chaotic maelstrom of fear and exhaustion. I slam the door shut and lock it, my back pressed against the cool wood, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I slide down to the floor, my legs giving out beneath me, and huddle in the corner, my arms wrapped around my knees, rocking back and forth like a child. I look up, and my heart stops. The entity is on the other side of the glass, its featureless face pressed against it, its form a distorted, inky blackness against the sterile light of the office. It's not trying to get in, it's just watching me. Its empty eyes, or where its eyes should be, seem to bore into my soul, a silent, unblinking gaze that fills me with a terror so profound it threatens to consume me. I stare back at it, my fear replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I will not be another one of its victims. I will not be another forgotten soul. I will not join them. I may be trapped, but I am not defeated. Not yet. I will fight. I will fight for my life, for my sanity, for my soul. I will not let this thing consume me. I will not let it win. The sun will rise, and I will still be here. I spend the rest of the night huddled in the office, a trembling, broken mess. The cold, featureless face of the entity pressed against the glass of the office door is burned into my mind, a constant, terrifying presence that refuses to fade. I don't look at the monitors. I don't look at the door. I just stare at the floor, my arms wrapped around my knees, rocking back and forth like a child, trying to make myself as small as possible, trying to disappear. Every creak of the building, every distant hum of the ventilation system sends a jolt of fear through me. I'm a coiled spring ready to snap at the slightest provocation. The hours crawl by, each minute stretching into an eternity. The silence is broken only by the frantic pounding of my own heart, a drumbeat of fear that echoes in my ears. I can feel its presence outside the office, a cold, oppressive weight that presses in on me, a silent, unseen predator that is patiently waiting for me to make a mistake. I can hear the faint, dry rustle of its movement, a sound that is both terrifying and strangely alluring. It's a constant reminder that I am not alone, that I am being watched, that my every move is being scrutinized. I try to focus on anything else, on the mundane details of my life, on the warmth of the sun, on my skin, on the laughter of my friends. But the memories are fleeting, ephemeral, quickly replaced by the cold, hard reality of my situation. I am trapped, a prisoner in my own mind, a pawn in a twisted game. Then a faint light begins to appear in the eastern sky, a pale, sickly yellow that slowly, inexorably, begins to push back the darkness. The first rays of dawn begin to pierce the darkness, filtering through the office window, casting long, distorted shadows across the floor. As the sun rises, the entity recedes, its presence fading with the darkness. The oppressive weight that has been crushing me for weeks begins to lift, replaced by a hollow, aching emptiness. The whispers in my head begin to fade, replaced by the familiar hum of the fluorescent lights. The shadows in the corners of the room begin to recede, becoming just shadows again. Frank arrives at 7 a.m., his usual cheerful greeting replaced by a look of deep concern. He finds me in the same position, my eyes wide and vacant, my body trembling. He doesn't say a word. He just looks at me with a mixture of pity and understanding, his gaze filled with a silent question. I get up, my movements stiff and robotic. My legs feel like lead. My body ached as if I had run a marathon. I take the keys to the facility out of my pocket and place them on the desk, the metallic clink echoing in the silent office. Then, without a word, I walk out of the office, out of the facility, and into the morning light, never looking back. The air outside is cold, crisp, and clean, a welcome contrast to the stale, oppressive air of the facility. The sun is a blinding white disk in the sky, its warmth a comforting balm on my skin. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with the fresh, clean air, and for the first time in weeks, I feel a flicker of hope. I am alive. I am free. But I am not whole. The memory of that night, of that place, is a wound that will never fully heal. It will always be a part of me, a dark shadow that lurks in the periphery of my consciousness. Months pass. The raw edges of my fear have dulled, but the scars remain, etched deep into my psyche. I try to rebuild a normal life, to reclaim the person I was before the graveyard shift, before the whispers, before the faceless entity. I go back to college, attending classes with a renewed, almost desperate focus. I hang out with my friends, forcing smiles and laughter, trying to pretend that everything is fine, that the world hasn't been irrevocably altered. I even go on dates, attempting to forge new connections to find some semblance of normalcy. I do all the things that normal people do, but it's a performance, a carefully constructed facade designed to hide the trembling, broken mess that I have become. The memory of that night, of that place, is a wound that will never fully heal. It's a constant companion, a dark shadow that lurks in the periphery of my consciousness, always there, always waiting. I avoid lonely places, the quiet corners of libraries, the deserted streets at night. The silence, once a comfort, is now a source of profound unease, a reminder of the oppressive stillness of the storage facility. I can't stand the sight of CCTV monitors, their blank, unblinking eyes, a chilling echo of the entity's gaze. I sleep with the lights on, the television blaring, anything to drown out the whispers, to banish the shadows that dance at the edge of my vision. But it's no use. The whispers always find a way to cut through, to slither into my ears and poison my thoughts. The shadows always find a way to creep in, to twist and distort the familiar shapes of my furniture into menacing figures. I'm a prisoner of my own mind, haunted by the past, by the knowledge that some things once seen can never be unseen. The world has lost its innocence, its comforting predictability. I see the hidden darkness now, the malevolent forces that lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. I see the fear in people's eyes, the loneliness in their smiles, the despair in their laughter, and I know that I am not alone in my suffering. One evening, as I'm walking home from the library, the street lights casting long, distorted shadows before me, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the shop window. And for a split second, I see it, a tall, gaunt, familiar shadow standing just behind me, its featureless face pressed against the glass, its empty eyes boring into my soul. It's a permanent fixture in my life, a constant, unseen observer, a chilling reminder that I am no longer alone, and I never will be again. I quicken my pace, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I don't look back, I don't dare, but I know it's there. I can feel its presence, a cold, oppressive weight that settles on my shoulders and never quite leaves. It's a part of me now, an unwelcome guest that has taken up residence in my mind, in my soul. The story concludes not with a resolution, but with a lingering sense of dread, a chilling question that hangs in the air, unanswered. What will become of me? Will I eventually succumb to the madness like Bill? Will I disappear without a trace like Kevin? Or will I simply continue to exist, a haunted shell of my former self, forever tethered to the entity that claimed me? The future is a dark, uncertain path, and I walk it alone, forever watched, forever haunted. Some things, once seen, can never be unseen, and some shadows, once they find you, never truly leave.